Hello and welcome to Joy Conversations. My name is Tad Sully, otherwise known as Tadbusters. Today, we played some Star Fox, the new Star Fox that just came out, and boy, oh boy, do we have thoughts. I'm joined with Tyler, SuitAndTyler. Tyler, you've played Star Fox. Boy, how do you feel?
Hey, I feel good. I'm happy to play as Star Fox. It's doing good. I see that we got this like checkered thing going on right now
I
on
know.
the shirts.
Look at this. We didn't plan this either.
Yeah, it's like a Joy-Con. Like I'm red, you're the blue one. I mean, you're PlayStation. So
we fit
that's
together.
something else to talk about. But
is yours Pizza Planet, or is that like a?
Yeah, the famous
nice.
Nintendo franchise, Toy Story.
Look at that. This is. I guess I should have saved this for a PlayStation podcast.
Yeah,
hey,
that's our other one. That's our secret PlayStation podcast we do.
The secret
talking shit about this podcast.
With dual shockers. The dual
all
shockers.
sorts of drama.
Well, give me your first entry-level thoughts. What do you think of Star Fox, the new one that just came out this week?
Yeah, Star Fox 2026, pretty dang good. Pretty good remake. I mean, maybe remake's kind of a strong word, because it is very much the original game. Like, nuts to bolts, it is more of a remaster in that sense. But they do a lot of great graphical presentation upgrades to it that I think really pushes it and makes it feel like a modern game in many ways, while still keeping the core of Star Fox intact, because the core of Star Fox is very timeless in of itself. What about you? What do you think?
Dude, I love this game. I think it is what I wanted from a Star Fox game. I am, just to get it out there, I am disappointed with the length. That's what she said. But you know, but for the most part, you know, it's meant to be replayed. So I went into the idea of this being like a cool short game, but I didn't realize how short it would be, right? So, but the idea is that you're going to be doing multiple runs of this game. So how many times have you done a run? I assume you've beaten this game already, right?
Yes. I've done a couple runs now. And that's the thing. I mean, this is the original. It is that same level of breadth. I'd be really curious to see if the cutscenes actually extended out any further, because the story cutscenes are way more in depth in this remake than they were. They really flesh out the characters in a lot of great ways that the original just kind of does just enough to get by. And this doesn't, when I say this, like, this isn't Falco going on soliloquies or anything, but like what they do to his character, they kind of like push him further into a more defined character, like the cocky kind of brash type that you get. It's like turned to 11 kind of.
Right.
I mean, but this ain't Shakespeare. This ain't anything like that.
Wait, this isn't Shakespeare?
Yeah,
what?
No.
But honestly, the voice acting here is phenomenal, and the cutscenes too. Like, I think this is the best looking Nintendo game we've had in the Switch 2 generation. I know that's a hot take, but Slippy's little slimy skin, it really got to me, man.
He's the slippiest, yeah.
It looks good. The voice acting is sharp. I know we were talking last time about our rankings, right? You can check out on our page the last video we did. We ranked all of the Star Fox games from S tier all the way down to D tier. And for me, so far, I've done 3 runs. I want to do a third. I feel like I've caught like all the cutscenes and pretty much got all the gameplay as far as the story-wise go after the third run. I'd probably put this in like the high A tier. Like, this would be the top of the A tier right before S. I still think that like the OG Star Fox, like just putting the nostalgia goggles on, those live there because those are great games for the time. I don't know if this new Star Fox really hits that, but I'm curious where you kind of land in the rankings as far as this new Star Fox.
I don't know. I actually put it above on the S tier. Like, I think it, because it is so much like the original game, with a lot of really smart improvements. I remember talking about in our last video the original Star Fox, and one of the biggest issues being, and not 64, I'm talking about like the original. One of the issues being how there's a lot of like readability problems where like some things aren't 100% clear that they're an enemy, some because of how rudimentary it gets. Right. Little things that they ironed out in 64. And I think you get a similar thing with this remake where there's a lot of little details like it's now I like the way that wing damage is displayed on screen.
Yes, the HD rumble in the controller when your right wing gets sorry to interrupt you, but like when your right wing gets damaged, your right controller will rumble until you get it fixed. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, like that's the level of production that's like, oh, this actually it's a tiny thing. Like you're not gonna think about it, but your brain does, you know? Like I immediately see that wing damage and understand a lot clearer than like the prior games and what they were able to do with their technology and just, you know, years and years of like understanding Star Fox and knowing like what places to tweak and what places to leave alone, which generally is most of it. So like that's kind of the smart move. And that's why I'm like, I mean, it's so much like that game. It gets up to an S. It reminds me of MGS3, the recent Delta remake, where it's like, don't fix what isn't broken. Just kind of bump it up, what little things that we can do visually that kind of makes it feel like a modern game. But what is it about 64 that still stays in that S rank versus this new one for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's because I'm the old man yelling at the clouds saying, no, you can't beat the originals. And Star Fox was the first Star Fox. Star Fox 64 was the first Star Fox. I just have fond memories playing that with my dad and my brother. And so I think just taking that with me for this new generation of Star Fox gamers, which I think this is the game for them, I think you put it up on S tier for them. If you're looking at all of the games from the goggles of, you know, somebody who's 33 years old, I'm taking that with me in all of Star Fox's history. But if you're a new Star Fox player, this is, I think, the best Star Fox and the best entry level for you to jump in. And I'm so curious where they're going to go from here. I hope this sells well enough, and I have a feeling we're going to get a lot more Star Fox. How much of the game did you get a chance to play through? Because this game has a lot of different modes. We've got challenge mode. You obviously have the campaign that we talked about. And then one of the cool things, it has the multiplayer, the online basic combat, which is a really good time. But tell me, what did you dabble with here within the core offerings?
Yeah, so most of my time was on the campaign, doing different runs, trying out different things, repeating a lot of different levels and seeing the alternate paths and whatnot. I did dabble a little bit in the other modes. Challenge mode, I think, is a nice, neat addition, adding extra challenges. I don't think it really has like enough extra meat to really kind of be a huge selling point, in my opinion.
Right.
The multiplayer mode, I only played it with bots. I did not get online, but I did a brief bit of touching, and that one's a lot more interesting to me. I think it's pretty good. Like it plays great. It's a nice, tight design multiplayer game, but at the same time, you see that they do a lot of little thing. Again, like those little details. They change up a lot of little details to make it more like a modern multiplayer dogfighting game, which kind of makes it feel less like Star Fox. It's you especially feel it because you go right from the campaign into that, where it's like the camera's pulled back more, the way that your health is, the way that your damage output is compared to other pilots, the objectives that you're trying to deal with, these classic multiplayer objectives. It starts to kind of feel like its own thing, and it's a little jarring to go back and forth. But it's really interesting and really well designed still. But what did you think of it?
Did you ever play Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS?
No, I did not. But I remember as a kid eyeballing it for like the whole DS life, wanting to play it. Just funny because I don't think it's that popular or special of a Metroid game nowadays.
No, but it had if I'm correct, it was either Metroid Prime Hunters. They also had another. Let me look this up. So did you ever play Metroid Prime Federation Force ever growing up on the DS?
No, I never played that one. I knew better, and I was like, I heard too many bad things. Not gonna touch it. But
yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the campaign was great, but the multiplayer was really solid. And I remember, at least for DS times, but just the pure joy and how well it worked, being able to play with people online, it kind of brings back those memories to me. This new Star Fox Versus mode, where it's just simple gameplay fun. Like, you don't need anything super fancy. We're not worried about crazy leaderboards. This is about just jumping in with a team of other people in their R-Wings and just duking it out, which is a lot of fun. I know you haven't tried the multiplayer yet. I've played about 2 or 3 missions multiplayer versing people, and let me tell you, man, I got my butt whooped like
I bet,
every single time.
They're already sweating over there, aren't they?
People are getting good at this game, and it is a challenging game from the get-go. I played my first 2 runs on normal, and then the third run. No, I'm still waiting to unlock. There's a lot of medals, so basically minor spoils here, but you have to unlock all the medals on every single mission to be able to unlock expert difficulty mode. So I think I'm missing like 2 medals that I got to go back and get. But I can't wait to try that extra little bit of challenge, because I know that that's just going to push me even further to get better at this game, because this game can get kind of difficult. How did you find yourself with the difficulty? Did you ever feel really challenged, or was this like perfect for you?
No, I mean, Star Fox can be pretty difficult. It depends on what level you're on. They're all challenged in different ways. Usually like the bottom path's kind of your easiest one, and then the higher up you go on that star map, those are your challenging ones. And there's some brutal ones. Like I wish I remember the name now. The middle lava level was really hanging up on me.
Yes. What is that called?
And I forget what the planet's called, but the main thing was that like it's just a pure lava level with a lot of solar. Yeah, the sun. The sun in this galaxy, solar, was challenging for me because those sonic flares with all this lava going in and these orange enemies, it was a lot to come at you at once of very similar colors. That was probably the toughest one for me, trying to navigate through that, and then beating that final boss on there took me a couple of times. Finally did it. Honestly, was for whatever reason was harder for me than like the true ending final boss and all that stuff. There are some peaks and valleys in the difficulty throughout, and I think that's what's interesting about it, is like you can kind of navigate through the galaxy based off what a challenge you want to, and each level is going to have their own little pieces to get at you. What were some of the most challenging parts for you, though?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I definitely, the final boss on my first run took me 3 or 4 tries, because I didn't figure out, he has this move that I won't spoil, that if you are familiar with Star Fox, you'll know, but you have to throw a bomb at, and I missed that every single time. So I was getting swallowed every single time, and basically that does a good chunk of damage. So I had to try to be
fair, you can break in those corners if you're good enough, like if you catch it early enough, so that helps a lot too. The bombs make it easy right away, but that was kind of what I was exploiting, getting over there.
I had a little challenge with that, and then I think it was on my second run. So Sector Y, it's kind of an all range mode, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bill?
No, Bill, yeah. And he kind of helps you, guide you through in like the first half, right?
Yeah.
At that level.
And then at the very end, you're in a dogfight with all of his comrades and Star Fox team versus everybody from Andros. And so it's just this amalgamation of 3 different teams attacking each other. But the icons don't tell you whose Bill's team is. It just shows you on your HUD all of the enemies. And sometimes they can kind of muddy the waters, and the Bill's team will be close to the enemies. So I was just I was shooting all of Bill's enemies. And he has this line where he's like, "That's not the enemy, Star Fox." Terrible accent of Bill. But I felt really bad.
Disgrace Bill like that with an accent like this. You got to get his name right. You got to get his voice correct every time.
I'm going to have to jump back and really work on my Bill dialogue here.
You need 3 more runs.
3 more runs automatically. But that was like probably the most difficult part for me that I noticed. Other than that, I'm happy with the challenge. I think it's like because these games need to be a little challenging, especially with the replayability. And I think that's kind of the core mechanic of Star Fox here. I would say that I think, so this is a $50 title. It is kind of a tough swallow because it's a short game and you're replaying it a lot. But before I give you kind of my thoughts on that price, what do you feel like $50? Is this a good offering, or Nintendo should have Nintendo dropped that price?
Yeah, I sit back and forth on it. If this is your first time ever playing a Star Fox game, I think it earns its $50 just because the gameplay is so sound. There are so many, you can sit there and say, I think we talked about it before, like you can sit there and say, this is an hour-long game, oh, it needs to be more, but this game is designed to be replayed, and that hour it really can go a long way when you start to really do all the challenges, other alternative routes, try to go for the true ending, even mess around and do different routes in the same levels, go for those individual challenges for each one, let alone the multiplayer mode, let alone the extra like bits and bobs of the story that you can get out of it that the original didn't have. So I think if this is your first time, the $50 makes sense to me. If you're well versed in Star Fox and it's like looking at it as just a remake, it is a little steep. I think 40 is that sweet spot maybe that you can kind of like both justify for easy, like 40 becomes an easy sell for newcomers and then a worthy purchase for fans old and new. But so what about you? What do you think of the price tag?
Yeah, totally agree with everything you say. I think this would have been a sweet spot at $40, but we know Nintendo's always gonna. They're never gonna go for that sweet spot, right? That's just you're asking for
They
too
can never
much
find
at that
it.
point. They can never find the sweet spot,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I think $50 is still a good
G
offering
mean
here.
gyro? We got gyro on ours.
Gyro? What do you
Yeah.
HD Rumble?
Oh, I'll give you an HD rumble.
Oh, I bet you will, Tyler. I think $50 is good. And I say that because the multiplayer, the versus aspect here, granted I haven't tried the bots mode, I think the multiplayer here is a really good core offering. When I'm done doing all of my runs and I've completed the main, story with my third or whatever run I'm on now, and I've felt like I've gotten enough content and seen everything, then I think I'm going to put that down, the campaign, and just say, I feel good with this. Maybe I'll move on to just do those challenges because I was dabbling in the challenge mode, and actually this was kind of fun. It was reminiscent of original games that I used to play on the DS, where that was kind of, some of these core mechanics, a lot of these games is to do challenges, and that was what kind of kept you coming back and for the replayability. But the multiplayer here, I think, puts it at that $50 sweet spot, and it makes it a really solid offering. I'm going to really go back and really play a lot more of this multiplayer and hopefully get good, because I think that's where I'm at right now. Is I'm not very good at this. I'm getting my butt kicked. Like we were talking about.
A tale as old as time of multiplayer games. Yeah,
there are some really good players already playing this, and it is cool though. It just makes me feel like this is old school Nintendo again, and we haven't seen this in such a long time. But yeah, where do you think? Are you gonna jump into multiplayer? Or are you gonna just kind of finish campaign and then call it good? Where are you at with Star Fox on your backlog?
Yeah, I'm mostly a single player kind of guy, so that's likely where I'll stick to. Multiplayer does seem interesting, though. I wouldn't put it past them. There are some multiplayer games I do really like, and I noticed that this is by Velen Studios, guys who did Knockout City, and I love Knockout City.
Same here.
And I could see, look at that multiplayer mode, and I'm like,
yep,
makes sense.
Exactly. That's a great comparison.
I'm sure that maybe you can kind of see a proper sequel with a full campaign from these guys. Maybe, and I would love to see them continue forward. Get a full sequel campaign-wise and even a more fleshed-out multiplayer too. Maybe that's where it needs to go. Right now, I look at the multiplayer and I'm like, it looks good. Maybe I just need to dive in more, though. It doesn't have... maybe needs a little extra meat on the bone for the multiplayer. I think there's was it 3 maps? Is that what it is? Or is there more?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. No, but that sounds... That wouldn't surprise me if it is just the 3 maps.
Yeah, so it's like, maybe, and this is Nintendo's MO, they like to do a lot of updates over time with a lot of their multiplayer-centric stuff, especially those sports games. Maybe that's something they look at with this. Maybe they do get updates, there's some more maps, some more modes. They really kick off with the multiplayer, but I think time will tell on that. So I assume you're going to keep playing, though. You're going to get better. You're going to school me one day on the...
One day, hopefully. You're the Star Fox veteran here. I've dabbled, but I haven't really sucked the teat like you have of Fox. But unfortunately...
Whoa. I wasn't in that sweet spot. I was in other sweet spots in my childhood, right?
Hey, that's the HD Rumble that we all like.
I wouldn't say a veteran, but,
Do you think that we're going to see DLC for this title? Will we see... either paid? I like your idea of maybe we'll see more multiplayer maps that could be added on, but do you think we'll see any more story content here?
I don't think so. I think the best outcome to me is a sequel. Hey, look, Velen came in, they showed that they can knock this remake out of the park. They understand Star Fox, they understand what works and what not to mess with. They understand how to evolve it and both make it into a fleshed out multiplayer thing, make it into a proper cinematic experience that feels at home on the Switch too, that feels very modern, even though it is such a faithful remake. So in my head, the dream is to get a proper Star Fox 2. They've remade this game so many times, and if you can have this studio come in and start pushing even further in that direction of adding more modern stuff, making a more fleshed out, longer campaign, maybe, I think you can have an awesome sequel. But I just don't think that they're going to want to muddy the water a bit with DLC on a remake. Some Ubisoft might do with like microtransactions a call it a day, but I don't know if Nintendo would want to do that on one of their remakes.
Right. Yeah, I think we're more likely to see, permitting this sells well, we're more likely to see a sequel here than anything. And I'm curious for you what you think of this idea. So as I was playing it, what I would love to see, and this is a far reach, but I like this new kind of character model of Star Fox. I know people are a big fan of the Super Mario Galaxy Star Fox. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, Star Fox is in the new Super Mario Galaxy movie.
He's on the poster now. You didn't have to. They spoiled it. You don't worry about it.
If you don't know, why are you watching this? A Nintendo podcast, but you haven't seen that? We got other problems. I think he looks a lot more comical and brings a lot more like energy, but I like this kind of like serious, cool, badass Star Fox that we have here in this new remake. So where I'm going with this is I would love to see, and I know that Nintendo hasn't done this before, and this is almost kind of a live action, but I'd love to see a like a Netflix or a most likely like a Paramount Plus TV show with this crew of Star Fox. And I say that because Universal owns Illumination, and Illumination and Nintendo have partnered up. I think most likely what you'd see is you'd see a Star Fox in the same vein and style as the Illumination, characters from the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I would love to see that for like a live action, or not a live action, a Paramount Plus TV show. And I could watch 8 to 10 episodes. I think this could be a really cool show. I wanted more of this story, and I love these characters. I think it would just be so fun. And if we don't get that, which we most likely won't, I would love to see a Star Fox movie, and hopefully we get that too.
Yeah, I'd love to see them flesh out this universe more. Now, again, this is a really strong base that you can kind of now jump off, use this version of Star Fox, these strong characterizations of each of the crew, and go forward with it. I was a little reserved. I remember when it first came out of Fox McCloud, and that the version they showed where it's like these hyper realistic, like Unreal Engine-esque Focus M style Star Fox crew, the slippiest slippy we've ever slipped. And I think once you jump in and you play it and you really start to experience it as a whole, it makes a lot more sense. Fox still looks a little weird in like specific camera angles. I think he works well like as a whole throughout it. His design, I actually really like how Falco looks. I like how the rest of them, it's really mostly just Fox McCloud that I kind of wish they did more. Heck, James looked, I think, better. I actually looked how James looked.
For sure.
And I was like, I remember when I first played, I'm like, oh, this ain't that bad. Like, this,
right.
They got these Fox characters down, and then they jumped to Fox McCloud, and I'm like, oh, wait, no. It was as bad as I remember when I first saw it. But
yeah, I think the best way to say it is Star Fox looks safe, right? He doesn't push the boundaries too far here with his character model. But he still looks good. Yeah, I think they could have improved. I think they could have improved on it. But what we've got here, like you've said, this game is a great base. So my last question to you here, before we kind of get into the rating, is: have you tried the mouse mode with this title?
No. Oh, I should have. Oh, I forgot. I always forget about the mouse. I'm gonna be honest. Like,
I think a lot of people do, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's just that it's not really a mouse. I saw that you can kind of get an attachment that makes it feel more like a proper mouse.
Yes.
That probably would be a lot better.
Yes.
But, I mean, it's still, at the end of the day, going to feel like this kind of like nubby, tiny Switch Joy-Con that I just haven't even tried. Maybe I got to go back to Drag and Drive first, get some reps in there, and then jump into Star Fox.
Yeah, I think you will be pleasantly surprised. I played quite a few runs mouse mode here, and I'm going to say this is a hot take here, but this is the best mouse mode we've had in a Nintendo Switch 2 title so far.
It's better than Metroid.
It's better than Metroid.
All right.
And I say that because I want a hot take viral clip to go viral here, but also...
Oh, you want hot takes?
We live for the hot takes.
They remastered the wrong one. It should have been Star Fox Assault, my guy.
Hey,
just saying.
You say that, but we had Star Fox Zero just waiting there. Which is, yes,
yeah.
This is technically a remake. But
I was actually looking for a Star Fox Guard kind of remake, but Nintendo just keeps forgetting about the classics.
The real one that we all forget is Star Fox Adventures, which we hashed out last episode. But man, we will bring it back. Mark my words, one day it will come back.
Mild take. that actually probably is the one that needs a remake the most. I think that would have benefited the most of a remake from all of those games. Maybe Command. I would have loved to see Command, actually, the more I think about it, but just because it's just the DS that kind of holds it back of technologically. But those ideas, I think of it like, I don't know. Okay, sorry to go on a quick Command tangent. It reminds me of like Metal Gear Solid. Funny I bring up Metal Gear again. I just realized. It reminds me of MGS5 when it's like Peace Walker comes out and it's like this handheld bite-sized version of Metal Gear, and then they expand that into 5, and you see how like the full picture with all the production value and everything, how great that game is. Right. And I'm like, Command could be that. Nintendo, hire this man. Stop hiring Unreal Engine man, and I'll remake Command.
You might be the last Command fan out there. Unfortunately, it's just, we're not talking about it anymore these days. But that's okay. I'm happy we have more Star Fox. Just plain and simple. But I do recommend you try the mouse mode. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It takes a little getting used to. Find yourself a good 3D printed one on Amazon, one of those mouse. In fact, I got to do a video on like every single mouse peripheral that I can
find.
Every
mouse, just ever?
Yeah, just ever.
Every mouse.
Somebody's
the Macintosh 2019 or whatever.
This DPI has great traction at 200.
Terrible compatibility with the Switch, dude. Doesn't work at all when you plug it in. But
to wrap us out, tell us on a scale from 1 to 10, where do you live with this new Star Fox?
I'm gonna sit around an 8. The reason it doesn't really go up to a 9 or a 10 for me is because it still is a remake. It's still kind of bound to the ideas from the original Star Fox 64, and there are more rooms you could have fleshed it out like a proper remake there that you'd want from a remake. I mean, look at like Final Fantasy VII remake, or a lot of like, even I made fun of it, but like even like Black Flag remake and what they're doing a lot. Seemingly, it's not out yet, but there are a lot more you could have done to this that I think could have made more levels, could have fleshed out it a bit more. And I'm like, I wish you could have done more there, but you're sticking to it, and that's totally fine, and it's great, and because it's at the end of the day has great roots, and I'm excited to see what comes more. Again, like what we talked about, the price tag, where it kind of feels hard to be like, this is a 10 and go buy it right now, because it's like, but it's a remake of it. Like you could just play 64 still on. Pretty sure it's on NSO, right?
Yeah, it's on NSO, and I think Star Fox 2 is as well.
I give it an 8. I really like it, but I think it does also start to highlight little bits that you could flesh out and improve, and that's why I'm excited for a sequel.
So I don't mean to counteract your rating or argument here. I'm more interested in how you digest your ranking system here. So what would you say the original Star Fox 64, where would you put that on a ranking of 1 to 10?
It's hard because it's like, are we ranking it today, or are we ranking it for what it is?
Sure.
I kind of try to do a balance of the both. I would probably kind of have it sit in that 8 and maybe even bump it up to a 9 a bit, just for what it was at the time. Because I think that game definitely makes a bigger splash on the 64 than a remake, even with all the bells and whistles that this one has. The splash it makes on the Switch 2 isn't as crazy. Maybe a little more just because it's early enough in the Switch 2's life cycle. There isn't a whole lot to compete with. Another, is a great example is Kirby Air Riders, actually. I think about that, and that's not a remake. It is a sequel, but that might as well be a remake. It has basically the whole first game in there and then some. That's what I would have loved to see out of a Star Fox 2026 remake. They play it a little more safe, and that's okay. The multiplayer mode is nice. So that's where it sits on the 8. And then same with the original, because, it is an 8, maybe a 9 for the impact it had at the time. But what do you look at when you do those ratings?
Yeah, no, I think you laid it out really well. I think, you have to look at it from rating it back then, rating it now. And this is clearly a better Star Fox game, the new one that just came out. But for what was just how the technology at the time, for the Star Fox 64, I think, that was a 9 as well. So for me, I'm going to give this new Star Fox a 9. And it's funny because I'm going to put this on the A tier. And I know you said you'd put this on the S tier. So I think we're kind of in this area where like we mean the same, but our differences between what is a good game and an S tier, that can kind of float. So, but
Yeah.
I think we're still within the same gray area right here, and that's the perfect spot for Star Fox. I would love to see this fleshed out more. Like I have issues with it. I think it's tough because I would love to have more, and it's a good problem to want more, but it's also a little bit of an issue because little Timmy might want this game for Christmas, and then he's going to be solely disappointed when there's only 2 hours of campaign. Really, there's like 5 or 6 if you do multiple runs, but that's still a short title. So I can see how some people are going to be upset. But yeah, I give this a 9 out of 10. I can't wait to see what this developer does with Star Fox more. I hope we see a live action. I hope we see a illumination version of this theatrically, or even a TV show. And I'm excited for the future of Star Fox. How about you?
Yeah, I'm excited. Like, again, great roots. I think that you could build off of this format, continue these characters, make a proper sequel. Again, like I was a little skeptical when I first saw the trailers about how it looked, but once you start playing it, you realize the tone that they're going for. They're really trying to bring this like space opera to life and treat it as such. It is not treated like, frankly, it's not treated like how he is in Galaxy. A young kid playing Star Fox, even in the originals, could feel the sense of weight and impact that world is trying to portray. So it's trying to be bigger than a kid's movie. It's trying to be bigger than just a kid's game. It's a space opera epic. And the production value here finally lives up to that.
Whatever way we cut it, I am so happy we have more Star Fox here. With that said, Tyler, thank you so much for joining me here. I'm going to lead it to the audience. Where do you guys live with this new Star Fox? Have you played it? What are your thoughts? Or are you like me, an old man, still shouting at the clouds, really clamoring for that Star Fox 64 being the best Star Fox game we ever had? If you don't mind, give us a subscribe. I'm trying to hit 5,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of this year, and with your help, I know we can do it. So, Tyler, let people know where they can find you, and tell us what your favorite character from this Star Fox game is.
Yeah, you can find me at SuitAndTyler on YouTube. I'm trying to get 5 subscribers. I already have way too many. We need to lower that, actually. So I need to get as low, only 5 though.
Okay.
Don't go lower, please don't.
Yes.
But when it comes to favorite characters, I gotta say, Falco's pretty cool, but Slippy, dude, you see how wet that guy is?
Man,
he knows the sweet spot, is all I'm trying to say. He knows the sweet spot on me.
Dude, Slippy, bro. I'm gonna have dreams about Slippy. I think that's I think it has not happened
already yet. Been happening?
Yeah. Wait, you have? How many dreams have you had?
Too many.
All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, be kind, play on. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.